People keep asking for lists, so here's a whole list in the form of a video.
Here's the list. It's LordKnight. I'm gonna try to keep things quick because, like, pretty much what you do is you take out the Levia cards and you put out the LordKnight cards, and you effectively are playing almost the same deck. So here's LordKnight X for 2.0. Obviously, start off with the Sunos. Draw one when you discard a card. One token for the Lady Devi. For rookies, the best one, just because the whole deck is designed with like opening this as your main rookie in the back, triggers your Dobro X, and so like you have very cheap evos or sometimes free evos, and you can very often make level 6s on turn 1, which is insane. 3 copies of Gazi, because Gazi is super important in this format. You need to stop memory gain effects, mirror matches, things like Imperial is pretty good, and most importantly, the Mirage Galaxy deck. That's a deck because the way that they go up and down and they do the memory shuffle, you need to have this out to basically defend yourself. And then for tech rookies, I'm playing 2 Labra just to get back a lot of new pieces. 1 Gabu X. Before I didn't run this in Levia, but in this deck, because you're so reliant on your LordKnight X to like do a lot of your damage push, you kind of want this as well as like very aggressive trash setup, which is very, very nice. And then 1 Psych just for any like Digicross attempts or Death X, things like that. And then the Ignite. This should probably be a 4th Gazi if I'm honest, but I'm having fun with the Ignite just because you can like reset your stuff and get some cards in trash, which is not bad. And the deletion comes up. For the 4s, for Dober, this is the reason why you're playing the Gobbly. Protoform, Gobbly, Dober is like the bread and butter of your deck. That's how you're gonna basically go up the chain on turn 1 if you really want to. And then 1 Proxy, but that doesn't matter. 3 copies of the Delta. This card is pretty insane. It gives the deck a low to the ground option to fight floodgates, things like memory stoppers, Pomus, even things to stop you from training. Having the Delta is really good, and because he evolves for 2 on Gazi, sometimes you just, instead of evolving the Gobbly, you can evolve the Gazi, and it's not the worst. But because he trashes, it means that it procs the Gobbly. So technically, even though it costs 3, you get the 1 back, so it also costs 2. You know, it works. 2 Dober blocker. So the reason why you have to play this is pretty much like any deck that, you know, your defense is very weak. You have a redirect on the LordKnight. But with the blocker off of the Dober, means that you can have like retaliation blocker setups, which is like not the worst, and the draw also is not bad. So only 2. And then for effectively tech options, I'm playing 1 Ogre. It's okay. It's a decent body for you to revive, and you can gain memory off of it both ways, which is nice. And then 1 Gato Uber. So Gato Uber is like the more important level 4. The reason why you're playing Gato Uber is for things like Leviamon, things that, you know, require specific pieces in the trash, mirror matches, most importantly like Takemika as well, like being able to take out things that they've deliberately set up, like the Kazuchis or the Takemika itself. Because this deck does not interact with like Takemikas, which is like anyway. This is like one of the few cards that let you sort of do something. And also, I'm not gonna lie, I've gotten bailed out because like sometimes you brick and you don't have any like level 3s, and then this comes out of security, and then you get to play the game. So you know, a little bit of sacking. Now for the level 5s, obviously we're playing the card that ties together the Dark Animal package. This card is so absurd. Draw and trash 1, that's like half of these effects. I'm not telling you what they do because they just draw and trash 1, okay? But this, being able to play the 3, as well as the unsuspend, is how you're going to go for the 4 check push of LordKnight X, because, so, if you think about it, right, the way that you want to do the interaction, actually, I'll cover that when we get to the LordKnight. But yeah, this is like your go-to level 5. Typically, if I'm not protoforming onto the Dober, I'm protoforming into the Cerberus, and then 2 copies of the regular Cerberusmon. Bumped it up from the Levy list just because your 5s and your 4s are so high quality that like you kind of just want to play the same ones as opposed to play like worse ones. So I'd rather just play this, and then the Rush actually comes up and is how you can OTK by giving like a rookie Rush and then swing for game, and then 1 copy of the Lady Devi. This is mostly here for things that you tend to struggle with, because, you know, giving something end of attack delete itself, it's insane. But also, the token is something that is difficult for some decks to play around. Decks like Black, the token doesn't have a play cost, so you're always guaranteed to have that blocker retail token. Magna as well, it can be pretty good. And the ESS is like, it's okay, you know, if you get a block off and get to revive with 4, obviously that feels pretty good, but don't tunnel vision on the ESS. You're mostly using it as effectively a Cerberus X that makes a body without you having the trash setup. So it lets you trigger the Cerberus X to get that extra memory. So think of this as like a 2-cost Evo. That's basically the best way to think about it. For the 6s, LordKnight. I will probably get the other one at some point of the release event. It doesn't say pre-release, it says release event, okay? We are released from the shackles of EX7. This card's really good. So being able to play a level 4, typically your best or most bang for your buck target is the Delta. And then you get to like clear something, so that's really good. But also on turn 1 against decks like Mirage, this is how you're effectively going to like empty your hand, is by, you know, doing this, playing this out, this can discard a card, and then you have like lots of bodies out on the board on turn 1. So it's very helpful. And then the redirect is also nice. It means that you don't always need to have blocker, or you can be more aggressive with your turn, and then you still have the fallback. Most importantly, it redirects into a Royal Knight, so if you have a LordKnight alongside a LordKnight X on the board, you can always redirect into whichever one. But, you know, just that's basically as much ceiling as you get with the card, is like redirecting away from itself and playing out like the best bang for your buck targets. So, now the start of the show, LordKnight X. Will I get alt arts? Probably not. Maybe. So, this card is kind of insane for a purple card because it is very tempo oriented. In an ideal world, you do this, you know, on the following turn. Like once you've established your board, the opponent tries to play into you, and you basically like crush them by just going into this. So very quickly, the first effect to de-digivolve something: 1, it's for every Digimon you have, you target 1 Digimon to de-digivolve. So you can stack the de-digivolve, so you can spread them out. 2. Yeah, because you do like, it's for each of your Digimon, digivolve 1 of the opponent's Digimon. So if you have 3 bodies out, you can stack them on the same thing or just spread them across. It's kind of insane. And then 1 thing gets to not evolve. So it basically has the new black floodgate of like that Digimon can evolve. So it's how you beat a lot of decks that want to ace you, is you just lock them down effectively. And then the X-Antibody effect is the DP and the Alliance, and it's anything with Knightmon in text. So the LordKnights get buffed. That's pretty much it for this deck. If you're playing the black base, then your other stuff would get buffed. But in this one, it means that he gets the buff from this as well, which is something that I did not realize. I rendered the card incorrectly. But yeah, Collision Piercing. The card is like super self-explanatory. It just pushes a lot of damage, and the way you're pushing damage is with this. So the way you want to think about your turn is, you know, a quick combo showcase, right? You'll go into your 5 will play out your 3, and then it'll go into your 4, and then you'll go into your 6, and your 6 will play out your 4. From here, you do this, right, for 1 cost. So if you have the Proto for 0. And the way the interaction works and how Alliance works, something got dropped, anyway, is you swing, and then you alliance with something, and then use the Cerberus to pop the thing that you alliance with to swing unsuspended, okay? So you get all the DP, all of the checks, and you're still unsuspended, which means that on the following turn, if you want to keep it as a blocker, you can if you have the Delta as an ESS, or you can then alliance with something else. And then you get effectively 4 damage off on your LordKnight X turn. It pushes a lot of damage. One Anubis. One Ruin Mode. And now for the actual fun card is we play 1 Zed Millennium. So Zed Millennium is really cool because it gives a deck effectively a Blitz Omni. Overclock works on tokens, and for the Zed Millennium it's composite. So your composite in the deck is your Deltamon. So it's kind of important to manage your Deltamons well, because if you're fishing for the Zeds to go for game, you effectively, you can kill the Deltamon and then overclock if you've already suspended, right? So you'll go like swing, 2 checks, unsuspend, swing, 2 checks, evolve into Millennium for whatever, pop the Deltamon, and then that's how you effectively win the game. So you just have to sequence your turn in a way where like you always leave the Deltamon out, avoid popping it with the Cerberus to then get your overclock, and then you get your 5th damage. It has other text, I think. It like deletes things. Anyway. I'm really sorry, budget homies. Is this budget? Technically, they're not, all the same artwork, but you have to play for Proto. It basically, it's so significant, the thresholds that the card provides. I wouldn't really play the deck with... You could argue that you could play 3 in one of the regular one, but if you want the deck to be, as efficient as possible, you need the Proto. It also, you're just healing in a purple deck, which is really insane when you're trading stacks back and forth. You're just healing. Super broken. And then for consistency, I'm playing 4 purple training and 3 wisdom. Now you might be like, why don't you play 4 wisdom and 3 training? Oh, sorry, 4 training and 3 boosts. The reason is because you want to find pieces aggressively, and the memory is easier to beat. So, for example, a Gazimon or, a terriermon or whatever, you can get rid of those cards very quickly with just the Delta, but sometimes there's decks like Imperial, which is, whoa, Imperial is very scary. You don't want to play into the Dragon mode with the Wisdom training. However, because this guy digivolves, it's pretty easy to go, Wisdom into LordKnight, and then you digivolve, they don't really get to do anything. So that works. You could swap them around if you want to. This has been working out for me. And that is pretty much it for the deck. Any changes I would make, like I said, I would maybe play the 4th Gazi over the Ignite, and I'd see some lists playing the Bastimon, some lists can play like a Levia Splash, but in terms of like a dark animal purple LordKnight deck, this is it. I'm sure you've seen gameplay of the video, you've seen gameplay of the deck just killing people. That's what it does. It's more aggressive Leviamon. That's it. That's what the deck is. It's more aggressive Leviamon.